All right. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Chad West. Thank you so much for joining us on our YouTube channel, The Magic Mentors, where we talk about a lot of different things here. I am with my good friend, Michael Gardner, who is also one of the other Magic Mentors here. We both have over about 30 years experience life coach. Michael is also one of my coaches and mentors and dear friends. So excited to always have him here. He is just ball of knowledge and just always has a lot of wisdom. He's one of the very few friends that every time I talk to him, I feel like we grow because he brings so much to the table there. And I'm super excited to have him here. Michael, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
And we're going to do our best to keep this short and sweet. So we were talking about just recently about avoidance, and how people avoid in life. So
Correct.
I'm going to turn it back over to you and let you keep going because I had to stop you because it was just too good. I'm like, let's hit record on this. So let's go back to that. Why do people avoid in life?
In my experience, we avoid because we create the illusion that whatever we're facing is bigger than what we can handle, uh, especially if it's something we've never faced before. So we create beliefs about it. We create the excuses about dealing with it. And then we start to con ourselves. Well, I'm not avoiding with it. I just don't care about it. Well, that sometimes is a lie. There's things we don't care about. If somebody cuts you off in traffic, maybe you don't really care to go confront them.
Oh,
And
no, I do care to confront
yeah,
them. I got road rage.
yeah, no,
If
traffic
I
is
hit a button,
traffic is something that triggers me. Um, but basically, it's based on illusions we have about ourselves in life and our ability to deal with a situation or not. Here's the challenge of it: what we avoid, what we resist, persists. It doesn't go away. Not that that guy in traffic's going to just continue to bug us, but the issue that it triggers will continue to be there until we face it and see what is it that we're afraid of, what is it we don't want to deal with, or a more um, maybe pertinent issue would be in a relationship. Maybe there's something that you've wanted to tell your significant other, but you're afraid of what they will do. You're afraid of they might take it wrong. You might lose the relationship. You might get hurt, or they might get hurt. For example, I had a relationship years ago that would try on clothes and say, does this make my butt look big? My answer was always no. And the reason it was no is because I was afraid that if I said yes, um, the reality is no, it doesn't make your butt look big because it's already big. but um, but that wasn't necessarily true either. But that if it'll create conflict, and I'm afraid I'm not up to handling that conflict. I was afraid that she would get mad at me and eventually leave me. Well, here's the thing. At some point, for some reason, I decided, because when she was in trying on something, I was looking at the price tags.
No, there you go.
And my answer was based on what is the least expensive outfit. So I wouldn't say, yes, it makes your butt look big, but I'd say, it's not the most flattering to you. And then she'd try on the one that was the least expensive. Oh, perfect. It was. I was afraid she wouldn't handle the truth well. And I was afraid I couldn't handle her not dealing with the truth well. So I was afraid, but eventually it would come out that it's like, well, I thought that one was really good. And she's like, well, so you lied to me. It's like, well, no, I didn't lie. And I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of did. Not kind of, I did. And that created an even bigger problem. So what we resist persists, what we avoid doesn't go away. It shows up again and again and again until we deal with it. But the reason we don't deal with it is because we're afraid we can't. That's pretty simple, but been the truth of the thousands of people I've coached and trained. They're afraid it's bigger than them. And
Right.
that's why I say, we're more powerful than we believe. But to know that, we've got to tackle the things that we believe are bigger than us.
I think that's one of the reasons why, if you look at it in a little bit deeper sense and stuff, I've talked to, people that were abusive towards their spouse, both men and women, by the way, that have beaten the other one, that literally physically have hit them and stuff. And when I was coaching both the men and the women, both of them were just saying, you know, no, I love them so much. And it's like, why would you ever hit them? They're like, I was afraid of, and that was always the first word. I was afraid, and it doesn't really matter what they say afterwards. That was the bottom line. They're afraid of losing. They're afraid of, whatever that may be. And, it really kind of puts in a bigger picture of what's really kind of going on with them and stuff like that. But um, when people are afraid, they act out totally different,
Oh yeah.
than they normally would and stuff. Like my wife, with my wife, I mean, I've known her since 1982. I was 12, she was 11 years old. In fact, we even dated once when we were kids. And I found my old yearbook, and I tease her about this all the time because we dated for like, I think it was like 3 months, and then she breaks up with me. I was a heartbroken kid because I just head over heels for her, right? And at the end of the year, I had her sign my yearbook, my last attempt to get something from her, I guess, And all it said was, even though I broke up with you, it was fun while it lasted. Then she just signed her name. I tease her about that all the time. I'm like, fun while it lasted, huh? And she teases me all the time on that and stuff. She goes, no, it's been a little bit more fun. So I'm kind of sticking around, but it was a lot of the things because we were best friends through junior high, through high school, all this stuff. I thought we were going to get married after high school. We both went our separate ways, and after 28 years we find each other again and end up getting married. And it was really different in the beginning because I thought we were just going to be like perfect. It wasn't. It wasn't at all. And it was one of those things that it took a long time. We were both afraid of certain things because we both have had, checkered past, all these things. But, I noticed a lot of our arguments, things like that came because of fear that we both had from our experiences. But it wasn't until we addressed them, talked about what we wanted, and how to move forward. It's like we never ever, talk about divorce or anything, so that's not an option. We didn't get married to get divorced. It's like, what can we do to make this stronger, to make this better? And every time we've addressed that way, you know, it's always become better. Always. Like when I notice that when I say something, my wife gets triggered, and I can just see her just, and I can just see she get ready to get upset. I'll be, I'll immediately put my hands up, like, whoa, 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 how did you take that? Because I'm like judging on your results of your reaction. You're taking it different than I'm meaning it. How'd you just take it? And then she'll explain it, and I'll be like, all right, that's not the way I was meaning it. This was the way I was meaning it. So I'm glad I have that clarification. That has saved us so many arguments, but that's also one of those important things of like how we interpret,
Hmm.
you know, what other people say, or that offended me. That, it's like being offended is a choice. Same thing with, when we were talking about with anger and stuff. Um, but I notice how people avoid, I notice we're kind of going back from our last topic of being kind of
That's
coming
okay.
back, with
These
avoidance.
all
I'll
tie.
get back to that. I'll turn it back over to you.
No, no, no. They all tie in. I mean, being offended is a choice, but it's not just saying, okay, choose differently. It's also looking at what was triggered in me that I chose to be offended. If I call you, uh, Mary, you could choose to be offended because you're not a woman and your name isn't Mary. And people are like, oh, that's not my name. You don't respect me. Well, that's respect is a whole nother topic we won't go into because it has nothing to do with respect. But if you know who you are, I can call you Mary all day long and you don't care because you know who you are. You know, Mary is a title. You have a title of Chad, but neither one defines you. But why would somebody call you Mary to try to trigger you? I remember a football player on the Rams, a quarterback. I can't remember his name. Everett, but he was a quarterback. And Jim Rome was a sports announcer. He's still around, but he would call him Chris Everett, the tennis player.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was Jim Everett, and he was on the show, and he said, "You call me that one more time, and you're going to get it." And he said, "Okay, Chris." And Jim Everett turned the table over. Well, why? Because Jim Rome was triggering him because he was getting a lot of criticism as let's say, a soft quarterback. Well, somewhere he felt that must be true. Otherwise, it wouldn't have bothered him. So he chose to be offended. So he could say, well, just choose differently, Jim. It's like, okay, I get that. I get that. No, it's triggering you. Why? Because you're not so secure within yourself that, so you can just say choose differently, but, you got to work through whatever is triggering you to really get to that point where, I can call you Mary or Dawn, and you're like, you don't care. It's not a matter of respect. It's just a matter of you got my name incorrect. But you don't take it personal, even if I mean it personal, because you're clear. Okay, my name is Chad, and he's calling me Don, and he's doing it to trigger me. But why do I care? I know what my name is. But anyway, but in avoidance, we'll make up stories and make excuses, and there's a lot of explaining that goes on in avoidance. So for example, if let's say you are at a job and there's a promotion and you don't go for it. There's two reasons why you don't go for it. One, you don't care. You're just content with life and you're okay. The other one is you're afraid you can't handle it. You want it, but you don't know if you'll do it well. Well, why don't you know if you'll do it well? Because you've never been in that position before. So somebody says, oh, I know I can do it. No, you don't. You haven't been there. You feel that you trust yourself and that, but you're going to be facing an unknown. You don't know how you're going to handle it. You may screw up totally. I've seen people do that. They get a promotion and I know I will do well, and they suck. But give them credit for taking on the challenge. So relate that to when we've done fire walks. It's not really fire, it's hot coals, but it starts with a fire. And I tell people, when you get to the point where you're at a choice of walking or not walking, you've got to be real. You got to be true to yourself. If you're doing it to prove something, don't do it. There's nothing to prove. But if you're doing it to know something about yourself, that you're willing to walk through the fires of life to get what you want, and to really have an experience of that, then you walk. And I'll tell them, look, I don't care if you walk or you don't walk on the hot coals. I don't care. You're not doing it for me. But if you feel like you have to explain it to me or somebody why you didn't walk, most likely you're selling out. You don't have to explain. If you're explaining to me why you didn't walk, then you're avoiding. Well, inevitably, if there's 80 people, a couple don't walk. And inevitably, they all want to come up to me and say, I didn't walk because, first of all, what part of that, what I said, did you not hear? I don't care. Two, why do you feel you have to explain it to me? Because people that avoid
justification, want acceptance, and all that.
Right,
Yeah.
you have to justify. Why didn't you go for that job? I didn't want it. Why? You know what? I didn't want it. I don't have to explain. But the person that avoided, well, it really wasn't for me. And well, how do you know it wasn't for you? You've never been there. But it's like I didn't want it. That's all I got.
I was explaining to someone that I was doing firewalks, and they just looked at me and they go, "Why?" I'm like, you know what? That's a good question. But our time's about up here. I got to thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to wrap this up with, Michael?
No, it's fun. It's always fun.
It is. I greatly
I hope
appreciate your
people,
time as always.
I really do hope people get a lot out of it, you know, and coaching is fun. I just had a session earlier today and it's like, wow, I feel so fulfilled because, you know, when we experience people stretching outside of themselves to discover new things about them, it's so fun. So doing this, I don't know. I don't see the feedback if there's any. I just do know that, hey, I'm going to throw this out there to the universe and trust that it'll hit somebody in a way that
Absolutely. So if somebody wants to get private coaching from you, Michael, how do they contact you?
they can
And I'll
email
do that
me.
whole links and stuff like that when I'm doing the YouTube channel.
Okay. Michael Gardner's World at gmail.com. Just email me and we'll go from there.
Fantastic. As always, Michael, I appreciate your time, brother.
You too. This is fun, Chad.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. And thank you, everybody. And make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. Appreciate it.
All right. See ya.